Welcome to the Art Room with Mrs. Hallowell. Today's lesson is for grades 3 to 6 and it's on colour theory, particularly on the colour wheel. If you cannot put your photo onto your Google page, then you can email it to me. My email's at the top of the page, or you can show your teacher in your next Google Meet. Today we're revising just the basic colour wheel of primary and secondary colours. We're going to use two primary colours together on a spinner, and hopefully as we spin them we're going to see the secondary colour that they make. So you don't need to watch the song at the start, that's for the foundation students. You're going to use red, yellow and blue to make green, orange and purple. If you want to, you can use the whole colour wheel and make a rainbow spinner, but that might be after you've made a secondary colour. So to make it, you could have blue and yellow to make green, you could have red and yellow to make orange, or you could have red and blue to make purple. Now, the artist that we're going to look at today is Pablo Picasso. Picasso was one of the most influential artists of the 20th century. Born in 1881, he died at an age of 91 in 1973, and he continued to make art his whole life. I've included a picture of him and a quote which says, "I'm always doing the things I can't do because that's how I get to do them." And today's lesson is a real trial and error and an experiment so that you can learn how to do something. And I think that we're going to channel Pablo Picasso in this work. Picasso was a child prodigy, which means that he was like super good at art when he was really young. When he was 8, he made this picture of himself on a pony, and it's called Piccolo, and it's quite professional. When he was 9, his dad built him an art studio because his dad was an art lecturer at university, and then he actually went to university when he was 13. Most people are 18, and he didn't do the whole 3 or 4 years. He just did 1 year. He didn't need to do any more. When he became a young man, he went off to France and he studied quite classic art. He's quite an amazing artist, and he befriended a guy called George Braque, and together they invented a thing called Cubism. Cubism is when you kind of look at a sculpture from all different angles and then you draw all of that onto a flat piece of paper, a two-dimensional piece of paper, but you draw all the angles. So I've included a Cubist picture here. He and George Braque, they use collage in their work. So last week we used collage, and they used collage in their work. They used forks to comb things through to make texture. They glued in sand, they glued on wood, they glued on different pieces of paper. Now collage has been around for many years, but mostly just in craft to make your house look good. Whereas Pablo Picasso and George Braque, they used it in their classic art. So they were the first kind of artists to use it in really serious art. So they were very serious because they developed Cubism, and most people know Picasso, but most people don't know George Braque. So that's quite interesting that Picasso went on to become so famous. So we're going to look at some of his actual paintings today, and we're going to look at the colours because he was passionate about shape and he was passionate about colour, and he didn't paint like the other artists did at that time. The other artists in those days just painted lots of landscape pictures, and real classical things, whereas he painted lots of different items, like that you would see lying around the house, like candlesticks and people and that kind of thing. So he painted his own rooster quite often, and he drew from his life. So a lot of his work is from his life at home in Spain and then again in France. So as we look at his pictures, we're going to think of the colour wheel on the activity that we're going to do today. So here are some of his pictures that have mainly primary colours. Again, there's his rooster. There's some quite abstract art, that's Cubist art. And then there's another self-portrait of him as a young person in his toy car. Most of the colours in these pictures are primary. If you look at these pictures, most of the colours are secondary. Now all of them, there is some blue, but mostly he's used secondary colours. So he's limited himself on the colour that he uses, and that makes there be an emotion to his art. They have primary and secondary colours, and so these are kind of bright and fun and very clever, and so I think the colour changes the mood of the piece of artwork that he's trying to convey. Today we're going to make a spinner. We'll need paper, grey lead, colouring in things, black markers, rulers. You'll definitely need some cardboard, scissors and a coin, and maybe a camera to take a picture. These are the spinners that we're going to make. Some of them have worked and some of them haven't. I've tried to just use 2 primary colours to make a secondary colour, although in one of them I put the 2 primary colours around the edge, so as I spun it I got like a line of that colour. So the challenge today is going to be trying to create a secondary colour by just using primary colours. I'll show you how I did it. Okay, this week all you're going to need is some paper. You'll need the primary colour, texture markers, black, scissors, ruler, lots of round things to draw around, and maybe just some old cardboard containers just to help you. And you'll need some coins to put in the middle. And I've used some tape on the back just to keep them straight. Alright, this is how we make our spinners. We're going to be a bit like Pablo Picasso today and experiment, because these spinners don't always work. I'll show you a few I've been making. So the theory is that you make a spinner with 2 primary colours, and when you turn it, it's going to twist so quickly that you're just going to see the secondary colour it makes. So in this case we'll still see the black, but we're going to see orange. So we'll see if it works. I'm not very good at this. So the black looks really good as it spins, but the hope is that we just see mainly orange. Now that one's not too bad. That was the first one I made. I did try this one to make purple. I tried light blue first and then I've coloured over it with dark blue. You can see these don't have to be uber neat. I think this one roughly makes it, kind of makes a purple. I'm not spinning it fast enough. It might be the light. It should send some purple messages to the brain. The one that really didn't work was the blue and yellow one. Again, I went over the light blue with the dark blue, so I used completely primary blue and yellow. It's got a little bit messy and I had to put some glue on it just to keep it rigid. But this one doesn't really seem to go green at all. So after I made those ones, I changed up the design and I tried to do, this was a design that we did last term where we did 16 points around a circle and we learned how to draw a star, and I just did a few sort of like smaller patterns in the middle. This certainly didn't go green, but it does look quite nice. The centre part looks as though it's spinning in the opposite direction. Now you can play with these and you can spin them clockwise or counterclockwise. You can change the light. I've done that today. I put the blind down because the sun was a bit bright. So you can change your light, you can change your pattern, you can change the media that you use. This one doesn't show up too well. I used crayon on this one, and actually even though it looks hideous, it did work quite well. I did blue and red on the outside to make purple, yellow and red on the inside to make orange, and then just here I did blue and yellow to make green. Now while that doesn't pick up on camera, where I'm sitting, it does actually work. So if you're having a lot of difficulty, try like just a crayon and see if that works. Then I went on the internet and they actually use texture. So again, you've got blue and yellow around the outside to make green, blue and red here to make purple, and red and yellow to make orange. This one still doesn't make green, but it does seem to make purple and orange. And then this is a similar design, but the centre is slightly different. So I've done the centre in black and white. So they do look quite good. This one looks like it's speeding up. Just when it slows down, it looks like it's speeding up. So maybe you caught a glimpse of the purple or the orange. This one, I rushed this one. I didn't get the coin. I put loads of tape on the back and I didn't get the coin central, so the coin's on one side. So this is where this one went wrong. There's the purple in the middle and the orange. Still don't really get the green, but that's probably the best one. That's pretty cool, even though it's not really circular and it's not central. This one is interesting. If you want to make a rainbow, you could do the whole colour wheel and then you can have a rainbow one. I've just used a 10-cent coin in this one because it's actually smaller than the other ones and it's got much lighter cardboard on it. So you can see all the tape here. So you do need to have a little bit of space to do your spinners. A bit like a Beyblade. Needs a nice flat surface to work on. But the idea was that we were going to get ones where we could make the secondary colours just using the primary colours. So that was the idea today, is that your spinner will be a bit like this one. So I'll show you how I made it. You just need to have some plain paper and some cardboard. And I've got 4 different circles that I drew around. If you want to draw the star one, you might have to look at the art lessons from last term on the YouTube videos, and that will teach you how to draw a 16-point star. So I'm going to draw, this is going to be the size of the spinner. Then I'm going to get the next size down and try and get that as central as I can. Then the next size down. And then this is going to just be the circle. This is the part that's just black and white. You don't really need to colour this one in, but you can experiment with the black and white because that also sends different messages to the brain. So you're going to cut your circle in half, like a cross, and then you're going to go diagonally straight through the centre. If we'll give you the sections, you can draw straight over the top. Alright, when you come to colour it in, the centre part can be black or white or whatever colour you want it to be. I personally like to do green in the centre because the green doesn't work very well, so I want to have the larger spaces be taken up with the orange and the purple. So I like to do the green in the centre. So all I'm going to do is colour every other shape. Right, so I've coloured it in now. I've got the blue and red around the outside, and I've tried not to make the red touch. And then I've got the blue and yellow on the inside, and then I've tried to not make the yellow touch. So this is my centre line. Again, I think that's a bit off. So I'm going to try and measure that to try and get it in the centre as much as possible. So this is measuring 15 centimetres. So I'm just going to mark off where 7.5 is. And then again on this side, I'm going to mark off where 7.5 is just so that I get the line in the centre. When you're going to do the part for the coin to go in, don't just get your scissors and start poking out on the table. Make sure you've got, like I've got like a mat, this is a cutting mat. And make sure you've got a mat or some cardboard down on the table so that you're not just cutting down straight onto a table. So if you're in the art room, use the cutting mats that are there. And if you're at home, you could use a chopping board even. So I've opened my scissors and I'm just trying to cut through the cardboard. Once you get through it, you can kind of use your scissors, a little mini saw. You don't want to get it too big for your coin. I've got a 10-cent coin and a 20-cent coin. I'm going to use the 20 because I think that will work better. Once you get it in the centre, you might need to also grab some masking tape or some sticky tape or whatever you've got and just secure that into place. Some people do this with a marble. I've seen other people do this with string or even toothpicks. So you don't have to do this with a coin. I just find that it works really well. Again, don't spin it directly onto a good table. Make sure you've got a mat or something down to spin it, or do it on the floor tiles, or do it outside on the driveway. Again, you can play about with the light, you can play about with the textures, you can play about with everything. So I've been making these a week. You might just want to make heaps and heaps. You might want to time them to see how long they spin. So when you've got quite a lot of tape on the back and it's quite secure, then you can give it a test. So this works really well. Purple on the outside, orange on the inside. Not really great with the green, but not the worst one. So the longer it spins, the more it's going to seem to change direction. Now, I don't know if it works in a different way if you spin it anti-clockwise. So you're going to have to experiment with that. And I really appreciated the people that took the time to do the lesson last week and send the photos. I put those photos up on the webpage because I really liked it. But this is just a fun activity that you can do exploring primary colours that make secondary colours. If you have any luck with the green, please just tell me what you use. So to make the swirly design that we did with just 2 colours, you don't have to do 2 colours. You could do red, yellow, blue all the way around just to see what happens and have an experiment. But to make that black section, you're just going to get a piece of paper, use the same bowl that you used for the template. Then you're going to get your black texter and draw the swirl. You don't want to make the swirl too complicated. And then you just go and make the swirl really thick, like that, and you just colour that in. If it's not thick enough, you can just do it again and colour over it again. But yeah, you could do like all different colours. You could even do the colours of the rainbow and make a rainbow one. So you could start with purple and then go red. You've got all the colours of the colour wheel. Make a rainbow one. I haven't made a rainbow one, so if you make a rainbow one and it's successful, let me know. I'm sure there's no end of what you could do here. So you see how you make this one and you just keep doing that and then you colour in the white. It's very successful actually to do a black and white one. The black and white ones have really interesting effects on the eyes. Obviously it's not going to be in line with our learning intention, but I would like to see what your feedback is and see how much experimenting you had to do. And remember that Pablo Picasso said you don't know what you can do until you can't do something, and then you keep trying until you can do it, and you have your own achievements and your own stuff can be completely unique. It doesn't have to be following this design. I've taken these designs largely from things I've seen on the internet. It's quite sciencey, it's quite mathematical, and I'm sure if you just did a black and white one, that would look really mesmerising and amazing. Now I've put a link on the page at the end. I've called it an extension task, and I've put a link in to a video that's going to show you. They're very professional, but they're just for ideas. Other people that have made spinners, so they're really professional spinners. They're not like my ones. They look really good. They don't use a coin. They've got like a professional thing that they use in the centre, but that's worth a watch. And on there you'll see some black and white ones, and you'll see some rainbow ones. So you don't have to stick to these ones. You can just take some ideas from that. So definitely send them on to me, and make sure you're taking photos. Even if you're holding up your spinner and just taking it, you won't be able to take a picture of it spinning, but that's all pretty hard to take a video of it spinning. So I hope that you enjoy experimenting with primary colours this week, and that next time we're going to continue with the colour wheel, but we're going to go into a bit more depths. Okay, I will see you next week. Take care, bye.